Ladies and gentlemen, how are you all feeling today? I hope you're holding up okay wherever you are in your own journeys. But me lately, I've been feeling off, tired in a way sleep doesn't fix, heavy in a way I can't quite name. Maybe it's the weight of watching someone I love slip through my fingers little by little in ways I didn't see coming. And I used to think losing someone in old age happened fast, like a light switching off. But the truth is, it's not like that at all. It's slow, quiet, a series of whispers from their body that start months, sometimes a year before the end. And the hardest part is we miss those whispers because they don't shout, they don't demand attention. They just sit there small and unassuming until one day you look back and realize they were screaming all along. And I've been there, watching my grandmother fade. Brushing off the signs is just aging, telling myself there was time, but there wasn't. And now standing here I want to share what I've learned, what I wish I'd known, so you don't miss what I did. So today I'm going to walk you through 5 signs that often show up in the year before an elderly loved one passes. Some might feel familiar, little things you've noticed but dismissed. Others might hit you like a quiet punch, showing how the body winds down in ways we don't expect. And recognizing these isn't about fear, it's about love. It's about giving them comfort, dignity, and peace in their final chapter, and giving ourselves the chance to make every moment count. So stay with me until the end, because these signs aren't just warnings. They're a map to hold on to what matters most before it's too late. And let's start this together from my heart to yours. The first whisper came when I noticed my grandmother's hands. Hands that once kneaded dough for Sunday bread looking thinner, her knuckles sharper under papery skin, her clothes hung looser, her belt cinched tighter, and her appetite just faded. And at first I thought she's just older. People slow down, but it wasn't that simple. Significant unintentional weight loss is one of the earliest signs that someone might be nearing their final year. It's not about vanity or a smaller waist. It's the body quietly saying it's letting go. And in the U.S., where aging often means living alone, this happens more than we think. Studies show the body starts absorbing nutrients less efficiently as it ages. Muscle mass shrinks, systems slow. But when it's fast, it's a red flag. And for my grandmother, it wasn't just her frame thinning. It was her strength slipping away. She'd push food around her plate saying, "I'm not hungry." Her once sharp taste for life dulled. And research backs this up. The elderly often lose their sense of taste. Food stops being a joy, and their brain stops signaling hunger like it used to. It's not a choice, it's a shift, a sign the body doesn't need fuel the way it once did. And I tried everything: her favorite apple pie, protein shakes, coaxing her with just one more bite, but the weight kept dropping, and I didn't see it then. It wasn't about the food. Her body was preparing, winding down. And this isn't just her story. A friend once told me about his dad, a sturdy farmer who'd always been broad-shouldered, and in his last year he lost 20 pounds without trying, his overalls sagging like a ghost of who he'd been. And we miss this because it's subtle, but it's serious. It weakens them. Falls get riskier. Infections creep in easier. So if you see this in someone you love, less appetite, frailty creeping in, don't brush it off. It's a chance to shift focus, small comforting meals, a gentle hand, a moment to sit and savor what's left. And then came the tiredness, the kind that sank into her bones and wouldn't lift. My grandmother used to bustle around her garden humming old hymns. But last year that stopped. Getting out of bed was a battle. Walking to the kitchen a marathon. She'd sit staring out the window, her breath shallow, saying, "I'm just so tired," and I'd nod thinking rest would fix it. But it didn't. This exhaustion, this deep unrelenting fatigue, is the second sign, and it's not just getting old. It's the body rationing what little energy it has left. And as organs slow, heart pumping weaker, lungs less eager, the body prioritizes survival over action. Metabolism shifts, redirecting energy from movement to preservation. And she started napping more, hours stretching into half the day. Her eyes heavy even after sleep. I'd catch her mid-sentence drifting off, her voice trailing into silence, and it broke me watching her fade like that. But I didn't know it was a signpost. Experts say this weakness comes from oxygen starving the muscles, circulation faltering. It's why simple things, dressing, talking, become mountains to climb. And I remember my neighbor Mr. Tom too, a retired mechanic who'd fix anything with a grin. But last year he stopped. His tools gathered dust, his hands trembled, and he'd sleep through the afternoon sun. His daughter told me he's just lazy now. But it wasn't laziness, it was his body whispering its end. And for families this is tough. We want them to push, to fight, but they can't. What they need is rest, understanding, a soft place to land. So if you see that someone you love drained beyond reason, it's time to treasure the quiet moments, not force the impossible. And the third sign hit me harder than I expected. Her mind started slipping. My grandmother, who'd recite poetry from memory, began forgetting names, dates, where she'd put her glasses. She'd ask the same question twice in 10 minutes. Her eyes cloudy with confusion, and at first I laughed it off. Oh, Grandma, you're just tired. But it wasn't tiredness. It was her brain, like her body, slowing down, a quiet warning of what was coming. And this isn't just forgetfulness. As blood flow weakens and oxygen dips, the brain struggles. Conversations became mazes. She'd lose the thread, stare blankly, or repeat herself like a record skipping. And sometimes she'd look at me, her own grandson, and hesitate as if piecing together who I was. Then there was the withdrawal. She stopped calling friends, stopped laughing at my dumb jokes. She'd sit for hours silent, lost in a world I couldn't reach. And experts say this happens because the brain can't process emotions or noise like before. It's too much. And I saw it in my uncle too, a jovial man who loved poker nights. He turned quiet last year. He'd forget where he parked, snap at us for no reason, then retreat to his room. We thought he was moody, but it was his mind fading. And for families this hurts, watching them drift away while they're still here. But pushing them to snap out of it doesn't work. What does is patience, a soft voice, sitting with them in silence, letting them feel you're there even if they can't say it. So if this sounds familiar, confusion, distance, don't ignore it. It's their mind preparing, and your love can still reach them. And then came the sickness over and over. My grandmother, who'd shrug off colds in a day, started catching everything. A cough lingered for weeks. A scratch turned red and angry, refusing to heal. And I'd fuss, let's get you to the doctor. But even antibiotics seemed to shrug. This is the fourth sign, a weakening immune system, the body losing its fight. And as we age, immunity fades. But near the end it crashes. Pneumonia, urinary infections, skin sores. They pile up, each one slower to leave. And for her it was pneumonia last winter. Her breathing rasped, her energy vanished, and recovery took months. Studies show this happens because circulation slows, organs falter, and the body can't repair itself. Even small cuts linger, a sign blood isn't carrying what it should. And I think of Mrs. Lena, our old church pianist. She'd play hymns with fire, but last year infections chained her. A UTI, then a cold, then bed sores. From staying still too long, she'd heal a little, then crash again. Her son kept pushing treatments, but they barely held. And for families it's maddening wanting to fix it, chasing cures. But sometimes it's not about fixing. It's about comfort, clean skin, warm blankets, easing the fight. So if you see this sickness that won't quit, it's a call to care gently, not battle endlessly. And the last sign was the hardest to face. Her breathing changed. My grandmother's breaths grew shallow, uneven, sometimes pausing so long I'd hold my own waiting. Her hands turned cold, her fingertips faintly blue, her skin pale like winter dawn. This is the fifth sign, the body's final shift, circulation and lungs winding down. And near the end, the heart pumps weaker, blood pools inward, leaving extremities chilled. Breathing patterns shift slow, then fast, then still. It's called Cheyne-Stokes, a rhythm of deep gasps and eerie pauses. And I'd sit by her bed counting those breaths, terrified each pause was the last. She was moving from chair to couch, her chest tight, needing pillows to sleep upright. And experts say this is the lungs failing, fluid building, oxygen fading. And my cousin's grandpa was the same, a fisherman who'd haul nets at 70. He slowed last year, cold feet, short breaths, a cough that rattled. We thought it was a cold, but it was his end creeping in. And it's scary seeing life leak out like that, but you can't stop it. You can ease it, cool air, soft words, a hand to hold. So if you notice this, gold hands, strange breaths, it's time to be there fully for what's left. And these signs: weight loss, exhaustion, confusion, infections, Breathing shifts, they're not loud. They sneak in masquerading as age until you realize they're a countdown. And I miss them with my grandmother, too busy to see, and the regret stings. But knowing now I'd sit longer, listen harder, hold her frail hands tighter. And that's why I'm here, because I've felt this, and maybe you have too. These aren't just signs, they're chances to love better, to prepare, to say what matters before silence takes over. And I stand here, voice shaky, because this isn't just a speech. It's my heart laid bare. Watching my grandmother fade taught me that death doesn't rush in. It tiptoes, leaving clues we're too rushed, too hopeful to catch. Significant weight loss, crushing fatigue, a mind drifting away, endless infections. Breaths that falter, these are the quiet warnings I missed, and maybe you're missing too. They're not here to scare us, they're here to wake us up, to remind us that time isn't endless, but love can be. And I wish I'd seen it sooner, not to stop her leaving, but to make her last year softer. Fooler, to trade my frantic eat more for a quiet I'm here, to swap my pushing for peace. And that's what these signs offer, not a fight, but a chance. A chance to care smarter, to cherish deeper, to wrap our loved ones in dignity as their bodies wind down. And in the U.S., where we prize independence, we often leave them alone too long. But we can change that, one call, one visit, one moment at a time. So I ask you, from someone who's felt this ache, have you seen these signs in someone you love? A parent thinner than last Christmas, a grandparent too tired to laugh, or maybe you feel it yourself, that quiet drift, that heaviness I confessed at the start. And if you do, share it with me, with someone here, because saying it out loud makes it real, and real things we can face together. I missed my chance to prepare, to make those last memories glow, but you don't have to. So let's not let these whispers fade unheard. Let's listen, act, love while we still can. Thank you for being here, for letting me pour this out. It's heavy, I know, but it's ours to carry and to lighten with every step we take toward those we hold dear.